I ran a D&D campaign that combined cyberpunk and fantasy, and it saved my world, and I'm going to share with you everything that I learned. And then I'm going to share with you the perfect campaign setting that you can run all of this in, and I bet you've never heard of it. And after all of that, I'm going to share with you a free skill tree that can add cyberpunk augmentations to your game, so now you can have your players automatically get cybernetic enhancements immediately in whatever game you're running right now. But first on our list, how do we build a world that can accommodate for cyberpunk and other influences? How do we make a world that can make all of this feel grounded? How do we make it all make sense? You see, my world of Gostar is a massive kit-bashed hot pot fusion of fantasy and cyberpunk due to interdimensional portals constantly tearing open in the walls of Gostar's reality like a soggy paper bag in a nail storm. So all of this began when my players started to play themselves in a 7-year-long D&D campaign that started with them all off being isekai'd into a fantasy world they believed to be the Feywild. They attempted to escape this world and return to the home from which they came, which was Earth. Only by that time, when they finally did return home, they found themselves now stuck hundreds of years in the future in a cyberpunk dystopia. But even with such a hard reality to swallow, realizing that basically all of their loved ones have passed on and they now have to exist in this cyberpunk dystopia, they pushed forward and they made a home for themselves, only to eventually discover that this world too was dying and would eventually implode in on itself. And so a whole new journey began with them figuring out a way to return to that old fantasy world that they had been a part of. And soon, this world would be known as Gostar. And so, when my players returned to Gostar, they brought with them all of their cyberpunk gear that they had acquired on Earth. But very soon, they realized that they weren't the only ones with lightsabers and laser pistols. Because the initial portal they arrived in Gostar from was not the only one. Gostar has been exposed to Earth's influences for centuries. And as they explored this world, and as I lay down the tracks before them, together, we discovered that sometimes dragon hordes might have mech suits buried under their mounds of gold, or goblins actually love grenades, and blacksmiths may on occasion offer to trade a legendary item for a copy of an old PS2 game. Because the inhabitants of Gostar were as excited by rare creations from Earth just as we would be excited to find a holy grail of greater restoration or some guy who can cast water walk. Gostar became this mishmash of different influences, and when I ran games later in this world, like new campaigns, I realized that I could just as easily turn that switch off. I discovered that I could very easily scale that level of influence of cyberpunk technology up and down through the types of items I decided to share with my players, through the people that they met and the adventures I would lead them down. One party exploring in the world of Gostar, for example, may be totally clueless to an elf digging up a smartphone in their backyard. And that might be happening maybe like 20 miles away, and so their perfect vanilla fantasy experience remained unsullied, untouched by my corrupting mitts that can't help it but add all of these different mishmashes of different genres and media. I have very strong kit-bashing tendencies. But I can run an eldritch horror adventure one day and this cutesy beach episode in a completely different campaign the next, and they would all be set in Gostar and all feel grounded in that world. Because when world building, it's so easy to forget how big a world is. One of my biggest gripes is in Star Wars, where you have the city planet and the desert planet. I mean, in reality, like looking at our world of Earth, it is filled with so many different histories. It is a mishmash of so many different cultures and so many different terrains and creatures out there. There are creatures in the world that feel like they are from a fantasy novel or something like that. It's crazy how varied our world actually is. Our world is just as much a kit-bashed kitchen sink mishmash hot pot of everything you can imagine, just as much as Gostar is. We've got monks pondering the wonders of the universe, and at the exact same time, we have mind-gunk teens stuffing their heads with skippity toilet TikTok jargon and AI girlfriends threatening to take over the entire world. And so, why not have a guy running around in a fantasy setting with a Mega Man arm? For anyone out there with ADHD or hyperfixations, this is your excuse. This is your hall pass to switch up games on the fly to whatever you are obsessing over right now. Tell the stories that you want to tell in that moment. Because all of this becomes possible when you choose not to block out external influences from your world. Avoid creating incubated spaces where only one vibe is present, because this is the fastest way to create a stagnant world and to cause creative burnout and ultimately cause that world that you have poured your heart and soul into to die. I've actively opened up my world to every influence out there so that I can run any kind of game I want to within my world, and it all still feels grounded. Because of Gostar's lore being a hub of all worlds, a teardrop planet that hangs in the center of the cosmic web of every multiverse out there, I can have Teletubbies crash land through a portal in a UFO into our game, or I could not. I could not choose to have that portal open if I don't want to. Adding more influences and ideas to your world does not force it to always include all of these genres and concepts. It simply expands its storytelling potential. It stops it from getting stale and it gives it infinite shelf life. There is never going to be a moment where I will pack up Gostar and put it on a shelf because there's a setting or a story that doesn't fit in that world. I can go back through its history or go forward into its future and set a campaign there if I'm really stuck and I really want to shake things up. But because of the varied realms within it paired with these external influences like Cyberpunk, I rarely have to do this. Gostar can be anything. Gostar is fantasy without boundaries. But there are other approaches to this, like the aforementioned campaign setting that I have been warming you up to, that combines the raw, fantastical, thought-provoking sci-fi vibes of Dune with the rough and tumble, adrenaline-pumping, gasoline-fueled action of Mad Max. This is Scorched Basin, a system-agnostic desert setting for any TTRPG, meaning that you can use everything in this awesome book for D&D, Daggerheart, Shadowdark, Morkboard, Call of Cthulhu. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And yes, you can use it for Pathfinder 2. Yeah. The whole vibe for this setting is riding cool Mad Max vehicles through its 5 unique desert settings and getting caught up in the political intrigue of its 5 unique factions, all the while dodging the deadly Dune-inspired apex predators of this world. This is a rich and diverse planet brought to life with its massive collections of crazy fauna and flora, and all of these things really make you feel like you've escaped into another world. Where I can see a lot of love has been poured into this project is in its factions. I've actually voice acted some of the characters in these factions, so go check it out if you want to hear my voice and stuff. This is pretty cool. I'm actually very proud of the voices I came up with.
It seems that the current has led us to you, or perhaps you to us. Interesting. Do you really believe everything you are told? If you take a moment and breathe it in, you will find its flow. Energy flows through all things here in the Scorched Basin. We simply move those waves just a little bit.
But all of these factions range so wildly, like cycling back to my point about combining tech and fantasy. This is where you really see them shine, is in these factions. You've got your classic riders who can be found tearing through canyons, racing over salt flats, and leaping over sand dunes. Riders live to race, existing only to feel that rush of the speed state. Whereas the Kai dynasty, in contrast to them, is this high-end, sleek metropolis famous for their crystal-powered tech and lavish lifestyle. Here, Kai Knights, the military force of the city, speak with these artificial voice boxes with pre-recorded lines due to their tongues being severed during their initiation. This gives them a real RoboCop vibe, but also ultimately gives this lavish and well-established Kai dynasty a real dystopian undercurrent. And this is just a tiny sample of how cyberpunk technology harmonizes perfectly with fantasy in the Scorched Basin. This dance between the two genres is constantly at play and is in every nook and cranny of this book. And you can get your hands on it literally right now. Right now, it is gone live on Kickstarter today, so you can grab it. And like I said, this system is totally agnostic, so you can plug and play it in any TTRPG you're now currently playing. So there's no need to rework rules from one system to another to make it work. It's all just ready to go and will literally never not be relevant. So, I mean, you've got no excuses now. You gotta go check it out at least. So do give it a peek, check out the link in the description below, or just use this QR code right now. I'll be totally transparent. If you click it, you do support me too. I get a percentage of anything you purchase on the Kickstarter, which is really nice. That is a really wonderful thing about working with Homie and the Dude, is that we both benefit from this, and you benefit because it's such a cool ass book. Why wouldn't you want it? But regardless of me getting that percentage or whatever, why I really want to do this and why I've made a whole video dedicated to what Homie and the Dude have created is because I really believe in what they do, and I really want to support them as creators because they're amazing individuals and they have really ingrained themselves into the whole TTRPG community. They are wonderful people and support everyone they work with, and every experience I've had with them, every interaction, I've come away being like, that was nice. That was a really nice time. They were really lovely people. But also, they're super talented and they're making some really cool content. And if you find out that you really like their stuff, you can also check out their website where they've got a bunch of other things too. I'll link that below as well. But they sell loads of content. They've had several Kickstarters already, so you can grab any of those over on their website. And if you do, you can get 25% off anything you buy if you use my code word Goblin25. And again, I do get a small percentage of that, but actually I made it so that the percentage that you get off the product is actually way more than anything I earn from your purchase. I just wanted to really incentivize you to go out there and treat yourself because you deserve it. And speaking of treats, I do believe I also promised you a free Cybernetics skill tree. So let's have a look at that and show you how you can get your grubby little goblin hands on that too. And this is actually a system I've implemented in my current D&D game, and my players love it. So it's been play tested, it's been tested out, and it's pretty balanced, I would say. So the simple premise is that you install cores into your body to power any augmentations that you make to yourself. But this skill tree isn't strictly limited to a cyberpunk style. I've actually named it the Artificial Augmentation skill tree because you can reflavor it to whatever you want. Body horror and tentacle lovers out there, this means that you can reflavor any of your body mods into nice squishy tentacle appendages and whatnot, whatever little freaky things you like, you little freak. So you can turn that grapple arm into a nice slimy Call of Cthulhu kind of tentacle thing, or you can turn the flamethrower arm into, say, Godric the Grafted, like his dragon arm that he rips from a dragon and just attaches to himself in Elden Ring. That was such a cool moment, but you can have that if you want. Your imagination is literally the limit here. Remember those power cores I mentioned? They don't have to be batteries. They could be magical arcane crystals, or they could be gross little eldritch cysts that go on your body. They could be that too if you want. Whatever your power cores are, they should make your players feel just a little bit uncomfortable as they install them into their heart. Let me know too in the comments below if you want me to do a bigger video on the cyberpunk skill tree here, because it is kind of just tacked on to another video. But if you enjoy it, let me know, and I will make a whole video expanding on all of the possibilities of this skill tree. But let's cover some of the basics and some of my favorite mods here in this skill tree. So to gain access to any of this skill tree, you'll first need to purchase a power cell, like I said. Think of these as like battery bars in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Each power cell or battery will give you a little bit of charge, and I call these cells. You primarily spend cells to activate the overdrive feature of mods that you've installed. And all mods have an overdrive feature, which overworks the mod, allowing it to create more powerful effects than they usually do. But activating an overdrive feature does come with its risks. Anytime you do use this feature of your mod, you'll need to make a Constitution saving throw to keep your body together, or you'll experience a malfunction. You see, very similarly to Cyberpunk 2077, the more mods you install into your body, the more you risk cyberpsychosis. So imagine something similar to plugging way too many extension leads into one power socket. The more utilities you plug into that one socket, the more you risk it short-circuiting and causing a power out. Now, in your case, yes, these malfunctions may be a simple short circuit, but you might also experience a scrambled brain. One of your mods might literally explode, or you may experience what modders fear most, entering cyberpsychosis and becoming a cyber psycho. If this happens, you lose total control of your body and begin lashing out in a blind rage at everyone around you. It's a terrifying thought to lose oneself. It's one of my biggest fears in life, is just actually being a psychopath the entire time, and I had no idea. But I think what's even scarier here is that you are going to always be the cause of this. You are the one who risked installing all of those mods, and so you are at fault if ever you do enter this cyberpsychosis state. But let me know, would you run this risk? Would you risk cyberpsychosis in order to gain quick access to like crazy super cool powers? I probably would, at least in D&D. But when you install mods like this, it's not just going to be the using of the overdrive feature that causes cyberpsychosis. Lightning damage or falling below half HP is also going to trigger this con save. And along with that, I've also added an optional rule that like distances you more and more from the natural magical weave of the world, the more your organic body becomes machine. But all of this is because the mods are really, really powerful. And here are some of my favorites. Cyberclown Nose. This was actually recommended by one of my patrons. But essentially, you install a red grenade to your face, replacing your nose with it, and it lowers the number you need for a critical hit. But if someone hits you with a critical hit, there is a chance that your head explodes and you instantly die. Or you can use its overdrive feature and willingly explode your own head and try to catch as many people as you can in the explosion. Honestly, this is just a joke mod completely, but I think it could be really fun to add to some of your monsters, like some goblins that run in there and just like blow up their heads. Bullet Time then turns you into Kirito from Sword Art Online, but more specifically the season where he plays Gun-Gale online and slices bullets with a freaking laser sword. Now, Sword Art Online does have its issues, yes, 100%, but God, is it so cool when he slices bullets like that. Look at him go. Neurodrive is also super cool and basically gives you the abilities that David has from Cyberpunk Edgerunners. For anyone who hasn't seen it, check that out because that's one of the coolest shows of all time. But he basically processes information super fast and begins moving at crazy speed, and it's kind of like he's slowing down time, but it also visually looks beautiful. But of course, this feature has to come with a risk, and so I've specifically made it an overdrive feature of the Neurodrive. I've added laser eyes, the ability to hack other people with Cybernetics, mantis blades, of course, and I've also added a really cool mod here called Scorpion Jab, which was also recommended by one of my patrons. It adds like microneedles to the palm of your hand or your fist, and whenever you hit someone with that, it injects them with whatever concoction is within the tank stored in your arm. So that could be a poison, it could be something like a booze if you want to get someone drunk really, really fast, or alternatively, you could do something really twisted, like add salt water there and just make their, like dehydrate them with salt water. I don't know if that's possible. I saw something similar to that in Apothecary Diaries. And is that a thing? If you keep injecting someone with salt water, is it? I don't know. But the free version of this skill tree that includes all of the basics on installing mods, as well as including a bunch to get you started, is over on my Patreon. The link is in the description and it's absolutely free. And if you like what you see, the complete document has over 45 mods in it. I gotta impress myself sometimes. There's a lot there if you want to get your hands on some more juicy mods. And it also, alongside that, includes a new damage type for radiation damage, which acts very different to all other damage types in the game. Everyone, thank you so much for watching, and thank you to all my patrons who support me and help me do what I do. Thank you so much to my hero goblins, Bridge on the Lake and Tom WDW. As for all my Giga Chads, my fancy goblins and pajama goblins, thank you all so much. And to anyone over there who has purchased anything over on my Patreon, I also have a Kickstarter coming really soon where I'm pushing all of my homebrew knowledge to its limit and making my own D&D cookbook where you can eat every single monster in Dungeons and Dragons. But for now, happy world building, and if you want to know anything else about my own world, you can check out one of these videos over here. And yeah, thank you so much as well to Homie and the Dude for sponsoring this video, and best of luck with your Kickstarter. Do check them out after this video. They are really creating some amazing stuff, so do check them out. Link in the description below, and thank you all for watching.